Good morning. This weekend, we hear from a fairly long gospel in the Gospel of Luke, and there's so many different things that I could talk about today. But one of the themes that comes up for me is that between servants and masters. And I think to a lot of Americans, that's a pretty foreign approach. We don't think a lot about the servant master relationship. If somebody has a chauffeur, they probably try to keep that one under the rug. They're probably not talking to people about it. So we have to learn about that relationship, of course, from our friends across the sea in England, where they're a little bit more happy to talk about it. I think about like Downton Abbey, the old show Downton Abbey, and there's the old butler. I forget his name. Tall, white hair, 6 foot something, and no one loves his lord more than that guy, and no one cares more about um, his prestige and honor and glory than his head servant. And I think of other examples out of England too. There's the Saint Thomas More. He was a martyr, and he was the Chancellor, the Lord Chancellor of England at the time of the English Reformation. And essentially, Henry puts him to death. It's pretty rough. But Thomas More was a fascinating saint. He was so well educated. He was a lawyer. He went to top universities in England. This is all in the 1500s, right? And he entered a monastery, the Carthusian monasteries in London. And he was with them for 3 years. And he lived in total poverty. The Carthusians, they speak once a week. They go for a walk every Sunday afternoon for about 2 hours. They still live like this. There's a great movie called Into Great Silence, where you can kind of walk with the Carthusians for a few hours in silence. And Thomas More, they live in total poverty, total austerity. Thomas More lived with them for 3 years before deciding to leave. And then he assumed the great mantle of the Chancellor of England. And when he died, he had 40 people in his household, servants and family alike. And they say that he took care of them with so much generosity, as if each one were his own son. And I think at Thomas More, we get this living example of a great man, just someone so profound, someone aware of his status in society that he is great and yet totally devoted to the care of others, and even willing to die for the faith. Just a really fascinating and beautiful example of a life well lived. And I think he reminds us, okay, that God is Lord, and that we are his servants. And as servants, we get to love him even as sons. Um, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So as we're listening to the relationship between the servant and master this weekend, maybe bear that in mind, that a servant can love his Lord who gives everything to him, who gives him his time, his money, and a community even. And that we find ourselves in mutual service of each other and of the Lord who is our King, the one who dies for us.